Virgin Voyages and its leader, Sir Richard Branson, are set to storm the cruising industry in 2020 with their new ship, the Scarlet Lady. There's been a lot of talk about it, a lot of hubbub, but the question is, can a newcomer to the cruising space actually make a difference in a positive way? Or are we all just wasting time talking about Virgin Voyages? Is Virgin Voyages good for the cruising industry? We'll talk about it today. Hey, what's up everybody? Tony with La Lita Loca. Welcome to the YouTube channel. If you like everything to do with cruising, cruise ships, cruise tips, cruise news, cruise vlogs, consider hitting the subscribe button so that you can get updated when all of our new videos come out. So in today's video, we're going to talk about whether or not Virgin Voyage coming into the cruising space is going to be good or bad for the industry. I do have a few ways that I feel like Virgin Voyages is going to disrupt traditional cruising, and at the very end, I'm going to let you know what I think, whether this is good or bad. So please track along and be thinking about what your opinion is, because we'd love to hear it in the comments. So look, we've only been cruising for about 2 years, and I can tell you, before I started cruising on the regular, in my mind, if you talk to me about cruising, I would think of the Love Boat. I would think of Kathy Lee Gifford TV commercials. I would think of massive buffets and ships that are rocking from side to side, maybe stuck at sea. Those were the images that I had in mind. I wasn't like super stoked to go cruising for the first time. It was really my wife Jenny who motivated me to go, and once I got in the middle of that cruising environment, I really liked it, and of course that's why we have La Lita Loca today. Now, in addition to my perceptions about cruising, I also hear a lot of this conversation in the cruising community. Cruising's not what it used to be. I miss the old days of cruising. And so to me, it says that cruising is steeped in tradition. There are certain things that people come to expect when they go cruising. If they don't get those things, more times than not, they're like, oh, what's happened to cruising? So what happens if a company comes in with a total disregard for traditional cruising? Is that going to be good for the industry, or is that going to be bad for the industry? And trust me, I do believe that Virgin Voyages does have a little bit of a disregard for traditional cruising. So much so that they are disrupting traditional cruising with some of the policies that they're already putting forward on the Scarlet Lady coming out in 2020. Here's a couple examples. First, if you think about what some of the profit centers on cruising that we know now are, they're things like charges for Wi-Fi, charges for the good food on cruise ships, charges for soda and bottled water, daily gratuities. Those are just some examples where Virgin Voyages said, look, all that is rubbish. We're not even going to deal with that. We're going to give you some free Wi-Fi. We're going to include basic beverages like soda and bottled water or sparkling water. No gratuity. Don't worry about tipping. And look, all the food is going to be restaurant quality food. Right out of the gate, that's a pretty big pushback on traditional cruising. But why would Virgin Voyage do that? Why would they look at the things that are the profit center in traditional cruising, the place where cruise lines make money, and say they're not going to do it that way? A lot of it comes down to the visionary leadership of Sir Richard Branson. One of his core philosophies is that when you go into an industry, if you truly want to be successful in it, you have to go in and you have to disrupt the industry. Here's the way Sir Richard Branson says it. We reinvent any business we go into. We pull out a blank sheet of paper and, just like an artist, get out our crayons to create something that is innovatively different. Innovation is the key phrase there. One of the ways that Sir Richard Branson wants to innovate cruising is to look at the untapped market of people that aren't currently cruising. Very specifically, he said, we want to go for the non-cruiser. We want to create an environment that kind of goes against the norm of what traditional cruising is, so that we can bring more people into the cruising industry. They're doing this in a few significant ways. First of all, the design of the Scarlet Lady does not look like a traditional cruise ship, designing the ship to look more like an oversized yacht. They're changing some of the language around cruising. Instead of calling passengers or guests, they're calling them sailors. And instead of going on a cruise, they're inviting you to go on a voyage. The point is to evoke in your mind not traditional cruising, but really as someone who is an explorer, somebody that is going to voyage out on the sea. So the original question, will Virgin Voyages be good for the cruising industry? If you look at the cruising industry, it is very much an industry that copies success. One cruise line got water slides, another cruise line got water slides. One cruise line got a bigger ship, another cruise line got a bigger ship. One cruise line increases their assigned gratuities, another cruise line increases their assigned gratuities. So this really opens the door for Virgin Voyages to come in and be disruptive, and they will either succeed or fail. They hold all of the risk there. And so the interesting thing for the other cruise lines is the things that succeed on Virgin Voyages will be ripe for the other cruise lines to pick up and to integrate into their own cruising experience. I do believe that if Virgin Voyages is successful, we will see a shift in traditional cruising, and traditional cruising will mean something different. That's really the way the world turns. Things aren't the way they were 100 years ago. Things aren't the way they were 50 years ago. Things aren't the way they were 20 years ago. Human beings are wired to be nostalgic, and we do finally remember the past while looking at things that are challenging in the present. So an interesting thing as an observer of the cruising industry will be to track over the next couple years to see what's successful on Virgin Voyages. Does it bleed over into the main cruise lines, and will cruising as we know it change? It will either way, but it'll be interesting if we can trace some of those changes back to what Sir Richard Branson and Virgin Voyages is doing with this first ship, the Scarlet Lady, and what they're doing with the mindset of cruising. So I can already hear folks out there saying, yeah, but Virgin Voyages is going to be so much more expensive. Well, this is what I would challenge you to do. Make a list of those things that are now going to be included in Virgin Voyages. Compare them to what you would pay on your traditional cruise line before you actually say it's going to cost that much more money. Now, again, you might not use all those services, so I think it would be fair to say, look, you know, I can go on a cruise line. I don't have to get soda. I don't have to upgrade my food. I don't need Wi-Fi. It could be true that it's going to be cheaper, but if you're somebody that uses all those services, do a fair comparison. Add all those things into your traditional cruise line cost, compare it with the new cost on Virgin Voyages, and see how far off they are. You might be surprised that they're really not that far off. All right, so I promised my opinion. My opinion is I do think Virgin Voyages is going to be good for cruising. I think it's going to be disruptive. I think we'll see things that will change in traditional cruising for the better, and I am looking forward to it. The question for the comments is that question. Do you think that Virgin Voyages will be good or bad for traditional cruising? And are you excited? Are you booked on it? Leave a comment below. Another cruise line that is trying to change the cruising experience is MSC Cruises. We have a vlog series on that that should be popping up right now. Join our Facebook group, the La Lida Loca Cruising Community. Be a part of the Loca fam and follow all of our social media below. Don't forget to subscribe for all the new content, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Again, this is Tony for La Lida Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido.